Good evening and welcome to the June 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Menlo Park Planning Commission. I am Chair Andrew Eric and I thank you for joining us this evening, either remotely or here in council chambers. Established by state law, our city's planning commission is comprised of 7 volunteer residents of Menlo Park appointed to 4-year terms by the city council. Our planning commission is not a policy setting body, that's the city council. We are a policy implementing body. We review development proposals for compliance with our city's general plan and zoning ordinances, which can both be found on the city's website. The commission also reviews city-initiated land use planning projects, such as general plan updates and zoning ordinance amendments. The commission reviews development proposals requiring a use permit, architectural control, a variance, minor subdivision, as well as the environmental reviews associated with these projects. When applicable, the planning commission reviews below market rate or BMR housing agreements associated with these applications. The commission is the final decision-making body for these applications unless appealed to the city council. The commission also serves as the recommending body to the city council for major subdivisions, rezoning, conditional development permits, zoning ordinance amendments, general plan amendments, and environmental reviews associated with those projects. If applicable, the Planning Commission reviews and makes recommendations on BMR agreements associated with those projects. We work closely with the staff in our city's planning division, which is responsible for implementation of the general plan, zoning ordinances, and related policies. We encourage your active participation, whether you are an applicant or interested member of the public, and there will be an opportunity to speak publicly for each specific agenda item, as well as for general public comment. With that, I will call the roll. Commissioner Baruzzi.
Here.
Commissioner Doe.
Present.
Commissioner Schindler.
Here.
Commissioner Sillen.
Here.
Vice Chair Silverstein.
Present.
I am Chair Eric and I am present, so we have 6 commissioners in chambers, which is a quorum. 1 commissioner is absent this evening. The next item on our agenda is reports and announcements. Ms. Sandmeyer, are there any staff reports or announcements this evening?
Yes, good evening, Chair Eric and Commissioners. So I have one announcement. The City Council will review the budget for the upcoming fiscal year at its meeting tomorrow night. And that concludes my updates, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do commissioners have any questions about those announcements? Thank you, Ms. Sandmeyer. Do commissioners have any reports or announcements? Excuse me. Okay, then we will move to item D, the public comment portion of our agenda. Under public comment, the public may address the commission on any subject not listed on the agenda. Each speaker may address the commission once under public comment for a limit of 3 minutes. You are not required to provide your name, district, or city of residence, but it is helpful. The commission cannot act on items not listed on the agenda, and therefore, the commission cannot respond to non-agenda issues brought up under public comment other than to provide general information. Please know that if you are here tonight to comment on one of our agenda items, you will have a chance to speak when we get to that item in the agenda. So, to learn how to participate, I am going to turn to our clerk this evening, Mr. Pruder, to explain how you can participate and then to begin our public comment period.
Thank you and good evening, Chair Eric, Planning Commissioners, members of the public, Matt Pruder, Associate Planner. At this time, we have public comment for items not on the agenda. If you are in person, please feel free to fill out a comment card if you wish to provide public comment at this time and provide it to me and you'll be able to speak in the chambers. For those who are joining us virtually tonight, please press the hand icon on your Zoom interface, and that will indicate that you'd like to speak. And additionally, anyone who is calling by a telephone, please press *9 on your keypad, and you will also be able to speak following that. At the moment, I don't see any hands raised, and I have not received any comment cards. We could wait a little longer if you'd like, or we could close the comment period. Thank you.
I'm going to give it a few more seconds. Thank you. Okay, assuming there are still no requests to speak, I will now close the public comment portion of our agenda. The next agenda item is our consent calendar. Tonight, there is one item on the consent calendar. And we are going to move to public comment on the consent calendar. Mr. Pruder, could you please provide instructions regarding public comment on this agenda item and open the public comment period for the consent calendar?
Thank you again, Chair Eric. Once again, public comment is now available for this specific item, consent calendar, item E1. Anyone in person, please provide a comment card. You'll be able to speak. And those who are on Zoom, please press the hand icon. And those calling can press *9, as noted previously. At the moment, still don't see any hands raised or comment cards, but we could wait a little longer if preferred. Thank you.
Okay, assuming there are still no requests to speak, I'm going to close public comment for the consent calendar. Do any of my fellow commissioners wish to pull this item from the consent calendar? In that case, would any commissioner like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar? I see a motion from Commissioner Baruzzi and a second from Commissioner Schindler. I will call the vote. Commissioner Baruzzi.
Yes.
Commissioner Doe.
Yes.
Commissioner Schindler.
Yes.
Commissioner Sillen.
Yes.
Vice Chair Silverstein.
Yes.
I am also a yes. That is 6 yes votes with 1 absent. The consent calendar passes. We will now move to item F1, a regular business item. This agenda item is regarding an architectural control at 200 and 300 El Camino Real. At this public hearing, the commission may consider and adopt a resolution to approve an architectural control permit for minor alterations to 2 existing office buildings at 200 to 300 El Camino Real, including the installation of metal roll-up gates for 2 rear-facing underground parking entrances at 300 El Camino Real, and the installation of metal roll-up gates for 2 rear-facing underground parking garage entrances and a metal gate for 1 side-facing pedestrian entrance at 200 El Camino Real in the SPECRD, or El Camino Real Downtown Specific Plan Zoning District, and determine this action is categorically exempt under CEQA Guidelines Section 15301's Class 1 exemption for existing facilities. And I believe the planner for this item is Mr. Pruder. Sorry. Mr. Pruder, are there any updates to the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Eric. Yes, this is Matt Pruder, Associate Planner. We have no updates at this time. However, I will clarify that we do have the applicant team comprised of Michelle Coplin, who will be presenting, and there's also Evan Sokolowski with the team, the architect for the team, available as well for any questions. If you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them at this time. Otherwise, we can segue to this presentation that the applicant has. Thank you.
Okay, let's move to that presentation. Ms. Coplin, please go ahead.
Great. I just first want to start by thanking everyone for their time this evening. My name is Michelle Copeland. I'm the property manager for the commercial portion of a stretch of property in Menlo Park, also known as Middle Plaza. Middle Plaza is a mixed-use property which consists of retail, residential, and standard commercial use. During the original development of the project, security gates were not included under the original building permit or installation. As the tenants have moved in and are now experiencing some security issues, they are now requesting to install security gates at the locations that I have highlighted throughout the remainder of this package. We are looking to install security gates specifically for 300 and 200 El Camino Real. 300 El Camino Real has 2 subterranean parking garage levels where they have had significant intrusions to not only the building, but also people parking underground without authorization. So we were requesting approval to install security gates to eliminate regular access or standard access when the business is not in their operating business hours. So the gates will be open during standard business hours, but they will be closed after hours. I don't know if anyone wants to slide to the next screen.
If I may, through the chair, I can control the slides. Thank you.
Great, thank you. So we were looking to install 2 security gates, which I think is important to highlight that they will never be seen from El Camino Real. They will only be seen once you make that turn around to the back entrance and proceed to the underground garage. Gate number 1 and gate number 2 are highlighted in the slide here, and you can also see a physical picture on the next slide. So that is gate number 1, not visible from El Camino Real. And the next slide will show gate number 2, which is on the opposite side of the building. Again, also not visible from El Camino Real. We can go to the next slide. That is the approximate location of where the gates will be. It is at the bottom of the ramp, connecting from the top all the way to the bottom. These will be roll-up gates that are programmable and will only be fully dropped again during after business hours. Next slide. So this particular building is a little different. It's all ground level parking. We can eliminate the ability to access this area for a future tenant. Currently, 200 El Camino Real is vacant. And I think the next couple slides are just pictures of the actual gate locations. And I think, yeah, the rest of the presentation is just pictures of the remaining gate locations, which I believe we have 4. So our mission here, and me as a representative of Stanford, are trying to minimize any sort of security issues that we have had, particularly 300 El Camino Real, which is SoftBank is the tenant there, has had some pretty significant intrusions. They have had someone actually make it into the building unauthorized. And we believe that allowing these gates to be installed will bring an extra layer of protection for SoftBank when they're closed for business after hours. I don't know if anyone else from my team has any thoughts or ideas they would like to provide for this portion of the presentation. It's fairly a simple project. We're ready to rock and roll as soon as we have Planning Commission approval to continue with the building permit approval.
Thank you, Ms. Copeland. Before we move to public comment on this item, do any commissioners have clarifying questions for staff or for the applicant? Yes, Commissioner Baruzzi.
I have one question for staff. I'm just curious if we've had issues with other buildings with subterranean garages along El Camino. Like, are we doing this for Springline, or I don't think there's one at the Cafe Baroni building. I'm just purely out of curiosity. I know especially with Springline, there's been a lot of talk about shared parking and being able to like use some of that after hours parking space. So I don't know if they've had issues similar to this.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm not aware of issues or haven't been contacted about issues at Springline or Baroni. I think those might be the only 2 examples of subterranean parking that I can think of at the moment, but I haven't heard any about issues there.
Thanks, I was just curious.
Do any other commissioners have clarifying questions? Okay, seeing none, I am going to move to public comment for this item. Mr. Pruder, could you please provide instructions regarding public comment and start the public comment period for item F1?
Yes, and thank you, Chair Eric. Once again, we're at public comment, this time for item F1. And members of the public who would like to speak on the item are welcome to provide a comment card to me in person, and they'll be able to speak in person. And for those of us who are virtually attending at the moment, please press the hand icon and you'll be able to speak once that's been indicated. And anyone who is providing public comment by phone, please press *9 to indicate your interest in doing so. And again, at the moment, I don't see any interest online with a hand raised or any comment cards, but we could wait a short while longer if you'd like. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pruder. Okay, assuming there are no requests to speak, I'm going to close the public comment period for this item and move into commission discussion and ultimately a motion regarding the architectural control. Would any commissioners like to begin the discussion? Vice Chair Silverstein.
I move to approve it as per the agenda packet and the staff report.
We have a motion from Vice Chair Silverstein and a second from Commissioner Baruzzi. Would any commissioners like to make any additional comments? Seeing none, I will call the vote. Commissioner Baruzzi,
Yes.
Commissioner Doe,
Yes.
Commissioner Schindler,
Yes.
Commissioner Sillen,
Yes.
Vice Chair Silverstein.
Yes.
I am also a yes. The item passes with 6 yes votes and 1 absent. Thank you very much to the applicant. Okay, and that concludes regular business items and public hearing for this meeting. We will now move to Section G, informational items. Ms. Sandmeyer, would anyone from staff like to provide an update on upcoming Planning Commission meetings and agendas?
Yes, so the next meeting will be July 14th. So we have a couple single-family homes on the agenda and some smaller commercial projects. And then the next meeting after that will be July 28th. So we tentatively have the Parkline project scheduled for that meeting, and that's a mixed-use project and includes 800 residential units and no new commercial space. And that concludes my updates, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Are there questions from commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Sillen.
Thank you. For the Parkline item, could you please be more specific as to what's being reviewed by the commission on that day?
Yeah, so we probably shouldn't go into details on projects that aren't on the agenda. We do have the project pages for Parkline and other larger projects, and those can be found by going to menlopark.gov/projects, and that provides the breakdown for Parkline and other projects in the pipeline.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes, Vice Chair Silverstein.
I just want to inform staff and the chair that I will not be able to attend the July 14th meeting.
Thank you. I believe Commissioner Farrick will also be absent for that meeting, so I would just ask that if any commissioners are going to be absent, that you let us know so we can keep an eye on quorum. I have an additional question. Ms. Sandmeyer, in addition to the upcoming meetings, can staff provide any information on larger items that are potentially coming to the commission within the next few months? That would be helpful to understand.
Yeah, we don't know specifically which projects would be going to the commission in the next couple months. And as I said, we don't want to get into too much detail on projects not on the agenda. I do think the project pages are helpful on our city website. And those do include current status of projects, whether they're going through environmental review, what the next steps are. And for the ones that are getting closer to be complete, there's usually some information on when we expect them to go to Planning Commission and or City Council.
Okay, thank you. And just a follow up on that, I believe at the City Council's priority setting session earlier this year, housing was chosen as a priority item. Would city staff be able to provide any information about items related to that priority item that staff is considering and that might come before the Planning Commission? I'm particularly interested in any progress or work on the treatment of substandard lots, which was, I believe, specifically called out as part of that priority item.
I will jump in here if I may. I think that we should probably be careful about what's not on the agenda. That question totally makes sense about an update. And Karina, you can, provide more details, but staff can consider that for a future meeting regarding an update. But for now, there is no update, and we should probably be attentive to the Brown Act.
Ms. Sandmeyer, did you have anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add at this time. Thanks.
Okay, Vice Chair Silverstein.
I want to ask a question of procedure out of my own naivete. I believe I'm familiar with the Brown Act, and I was wondering if either staff or the city attorney could explain what would prevent information from staff to the commission about a future item on the agenda. I recognize that staff would not, or the commission itself would not be able to discuss or opine about any of these topics, but if there is a question around what we may discuss in the future that is purely one way in a public forum, it's my understanding that wouldn't violate the Brown Act, and also that the public would not need to have the opportunity to give public comment on information like that, but I might be missing something. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's just being careful that, with each question, there's a follow-up question. Of course, staff provided an update about the next two meetings and what's on the agenda. I'm not sure, it's my understanding that there isn't really more clarity beyond the next two meetings and as the agenda is being built. And, it's just, of course, a question that's one way totally is fair game. It's just being attentive to maybe the cascading and follow-up questions. And that's really what because then the more follow-up questions, the more it starts to feel like it's a discussion between the board and staff. And that's usually something that we would want to be careful about and attentive to.
Thank you.
Thank you. In that case, I would just say that I would appreciate and encourage updates from staff on any progress or thoughts that staff has about progress or potential work or potential items that might come before the Planning Commission with regards to this specific priority item, and I hope that those can be provided in a future meeting. I believe I see no further questions, in which case I will adjourn this meeting at 7:26 p.m. Thank you, everyone.